Kurt Busch is out for the season due to injury. Denny Hamlin will miss the Xfinity race this weekend due to lingering injuries. Recent radio sound bites from this past weekend at Daytona have fans, drivers, and media asking questions about the next-gen car's safety. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. I hope you're having a great week. We've got some serious items to discuss today, but before we get to that, this episode is sponsored by my friends at SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. They're running a special sweepstakes this week, the SiriusXM NASCAR Radio Road to Phoenix Showdown. SiriusXM NASCAR Radio is giving you the chance to win a trip to Phoenix for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. One grand prize winner will win a round trip for two, including 2 grandstand tickets and 2 hot passes for all the weekend's festivities. That's the trucks, the ARCA, the Xfinity, and the Cup race. A full weekend of NASCAR Championship action, and you'll have the chance to see it up close and in person. Click that top link down in the description below to enter. That link will take you to the contest page where you can enter in all applicable information. For official rules and all entry methods, visit SiriusXM.com/NASCAR-Phoenix. No purchase necessary, must be a US resident, at least 18 to win. Enter by 5:59 p.m. on Sunday, September 4th. So you just have a few days to get your entries in. Thank you to SiriusXM NASCAR Radio for sponsoring this episode, and good luck to everyone who participates in the Road to Phoenix Showdown sweepstakes. Now, real quick, before we get to the serious stuff, I want to highlight something pretty cool. You probably saw this all over social media last night, but last night, Dale Earnhardt Jr. raced at North Wilkesboro Speedway. He competed in the Cars Tour event. He drove that beautiful number 3 Sun Drop late model. Jr. wheeled that thing to a 3rd place finish. I don't think he'd driven a late model since like 1997, so that's very impressive. The car he owns, driven by Carson Kvapil, won. So all around a pretty successful night for Dale Earnhardt Jr., but what stood out to me were the images I saw on Twitter. I also watched a good amount of the race on Racing America. The sellout crowd of over 18,000 fans. Part of North Wilkesboro's racetrack revival. What a sight. I just have to say the images were astounding. I can only imagine what the energy was like in person. If you were one of those 18 or more thousand that went, leave a comment down below. Let me know just how electric that environment truly was. Just watching the race on TV or on my computer screen was pretty special in and itself. It's weird because I don't have any nostalgia for North Wilkesboro. Like, the Cup Series stopped racing there after 1996. I wasn't born until 1997. So all I know about North Wilkesboro is from stuff I've read. Obviously, there's some great replays up on YouTube, preserved on the internet. I've heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. talk about other drivers who've raced at the facility, people who've covered races at the facility in its heyday. I've heard the stories, I've seen the replays, but I think of myself as someone who really lives in the present. I feel like I'm often looking towards the future. I don't ignore the past. There's tons you can learn from history. There are great heroes of history that deserve to be remembered, no doubt, but I live in the present. And seeing North Wilkesboro Speedway packed last night in the present, I don't know, spoke to me in a way none of these other things have spoken to me yet. So I think I finally get it. Not that I ever thought North Wilkesboro was a bad track or not worthy of remembering or even bringing back, but I think I finally get it. Like, I hope North Wilkesboro Speedway sees tremendous success here in its second life as a southern short track. I don't know if NASCAR will ever bring one of their Big 3 series back to the facility once again, but I hope North Wilkesboro Speedway has a long and prosperous future, and I definitely want to get down there for a race there at some point. I live in Texas, so it's a bit of a hike, but I mean, it's North Carolina. That's NASCAR country. I'll have to make it to a race out there sometime before too long. Last night sold me, and I hope it was really fun for those in attendance. It looked like a heck of a time. I know they're about to tear up the asphalt and run dirt over the next couple months, and then next year they're going to repave and hopefully continue to renovate some of the facility, but after 2023, I'll be at North Wilkesboro. I'll make it. I will make it to a race, I promise. All right, that was the fun stuff, because now we have to talk about some not so fun stuff. I want to preface this segment by first acknowledging that racing cars is dangerous. Anytime you strap humans into big, heavy metal machines and launch them at speeds of close to 200 miles per hour in close proximity to one another, obviously there's a serious risk to their safety. I also want to acknowledge and commend NASCAR for designing and maintaining some of the safest race cars on the planet over the past couple of decades. NASCAR's recent track record speaks for itself, and they deserve a ton of credit. However, this year, they debuted an all-new car. A car that was tested largely through computer simulation. A car that, after a rare real-world crash test at Talladega last summer produced mixed results, was edited to try and absorb front and rear impacts a little bit better. A car that is sturdier, stronger, more rigid, and has been criticized substantially by the drivers. I've addressed this topic several times over the past few months, but after some troubling radio communication and footage emerged out of Daytona this past weekend, the next-gen car has been put under the microscope. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, Denny Hamlin will miss the Xfinity race this Saturday that he was scheduled to run due to lingering back, neck, and hip soreness. A video clip has gone viral on social media this week featuring audio between Denny Hamlin and his crew during and just after the big one that was caused by rain at the end of this weekend's Daytona race. I'm going to try and sync up the audio with the actual crash itself so you guys get a better picture of what's going on. And fair warning, this may be somewhat troubling to listen to, especially if you're a big Denny Hamlin fan or you just don't like people sounding injured. Here's what this sounds like.
Hang on to it there. Rain, are you okay? Yeah, you okay? Catch your breath. Talk to me when you can. It's gonna hurt. Copy that. Take deep breaths here.
Again, Denny Hamlin confirmed yesterday he will miss the Xfinity race this weekend due to lingering injuries from that crash. Honestly, if it wasn't a playoff race, my guess is he'd sit out the Cup race as well. That was not the only troubling video clip making the rounds on social media this week. Bubba Wallace, another Toyota driver, much younger than Denny Hamlin. Hamlin, I believe, is 41. Bubba Wallace, I think, is 28, 29. Here was Bubba Wallace communicating with his team over the radio after that same big Daytona crash.
Still pounding, raining over here. NASCAR, these f***ing cars suck when you get hit in the rear. Never thought I'd get the breath knocked out of me getting hit in the rear. What a f***ing joke we drive.
Concerning stuff, for sure, and I do want to give credit to those Twitter users who posted those clips, who found them and put them together to share with everybody. That's big. There was also a great thread on Twitter by NASCAR Man, I'll put his Twitter handle right here, where he highlighted the many times over the course of this season, and actually in years past, when drivers or members of the industry voiced some concerns over the way the next-gen car absorbs impact. So I'm not going to read every tweet because many of them we've talked about on this show before. But in this thread, NASCAR Man points out the multiple times this year Bubba Wallace has said he's suffered the hardest hit of his career. He also included the quote from Logano after Charlotte when Logano said that was the hardest hit of his career. And NASCAR Man even found the clip from way back, I think in 2020, when rumors were first circulating that William Byron's crash during next-gen testing was bigger than everyone realized. So people have been talking about this issue with the next-gen car for literally years. This didn't just come out of left field. I've talked about it on this show for the last 6 months. I'm not done showing you guys clips. Another Twitter user found this clip from an Xfinity race earlier this year when Eric Jones and Austin Dillon were in the broadcast booth.
You feel those through the week, especially in the next-gen car.
That awkward silence, and you even heard someone kind of nose laugh. That was probably Jones, oh. I'm gonna keep going because anytime I bring up any concerns with the next gen car and how it absorbs impacts, I get a lot of people saying, oh, racing's dangerous, so-and-so's just complaining and whining, these cars are as safe as they've ever been, and I just don't think that's true. Here's Christopher Bell, a 27-year-old, talking to the racing experts recently. Question, do you feel the next gen car is as safe as it could be? Bell's answer, I think it is a really big deal and it needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. I know the few small hits I've taken, you feel it a lot more, and most of the time it is in your head, not in your body. It shouldn't need to be explained how serious head injuries are and how long-lasting and lingering the effects of them can be. I'm not done. I found this long Kevin Harvick quote in a recent Racer.com article I want to share with y'all. I think these are the exact concerns that the drivers had from the very first day we saw the car. There hasn't been a lot of progression other than we changed some of the rear clip stuff. We changed some of the impact stuff. But these cars don't crash like the other cars crash. They're violent impacts, and they feel a lot different than what the crash data G-load is. It goes straight through the driver's body. I don't think anybody really understands, except for the drivers that have crashed into something, the violence that comes in the car. Kevin Harvick has driven the Gen 4, he's driven the Gen 5 with and without the wing, he's driven the Gen 6, and those are his thoughts on the way the Gen 7 crashes. And I want to read this final line from Kevin Harvick because this is why I'm making this video. There's not an easy fix but it needs to be a much higher priority than what it is right now. Drop the mic. I think well said. It's not easy. I'm not sure what more can be done to the front and rear of these cars. There's been discussion about changing the actual safer barrier walls so that they give a little bit more in the case of a medium-sized impact. It's not easy, but it needs to be a top priority. Here's the thing. The style of racing NASCAR has been promoting and the safety elements of the next-gen car actively contradict one another. NASCAR has added 2 super speedway races this year. They made the car sturdier on the outside so drivers could beat and bang and make more contact with one another. Stages add more restarts, which bunches the field up together and potentially leads to more hard multi-car accidents. All these things are usually fun to watch, but as a result, they lead to more crashes. I haven't seen a recent stat in the last few weeks, but I know a month or so ago, crashes this year compared to last year were up over 70%. That's a lot of impacts. Meanwhile, the new car doesn't absorb those impacts as well as the previous one did. It's interesting because if someone takes a huge hit into the safety wall, or God forbid were to get upside down and get hit, I believe this new car, because it's tougher, is actually safer than the old one by a little bit. But if you take a solid routine hit, especially in the rear of the car, drivers are sounding the alarm. It does not take those hits as well, and drivers are feeling more impacts than they felt in a long time. So these two styles are contradicting. You have a car that does not take typical NASCAR hits as well. Meanwhile, NASCAR is promoting racing that leads to more hits. That's why this is a problem. NASCAR, again, credit to their tremendous safety record the past 20 plus years. NASCAR, knock on wood, God forbid, has not seen a fatality in one of their top 3 series since Dale Earnhardt in 2001. I don't even want to talk about that because that's the worst possible outcome, and thankfully that has not happened in a long time. I want to focus on injuries that have been sustained this year. Head injuries. Head injuries affects people's lives, and it causes drivers, in this case, to shorten their careers. Carl Edwards retired early, due at least in part to health concerns. Dale Earnhardt Jr., most notably, retired maybe earlier than he wanted to due to head injuries. We can't have the stars of NASCAR worried about every little impact in the car and retiring early. I know NASCAR is worried about the ratings, trying to get a new TV contract negotiated. I know they're worried about the schedule. They don't even have next year's schedule finalized just yet. Move this to the top of the list. Communicate with your drivers. It doesn't sound like they feel very listened to. Start there. Improve that. Then do whatever you can to the cars. Some of y'all may think I'm making too big a deal about this, but I'll just refer to a quote from Kevin Harvick a few weeks back when he was talking to the media, and he said, "I don't think y'all are making a big enough deal about it." That's from Kevin Harvick, a driver. I'm gonna take what he says pretty seriously on this front. Anyway, share your thoughts down in the comment section below. That's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel and you love keeping up to date with all things NASCAR, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Your support truly means the world to me, and I couldn't do the show without it each and every month. Thank you so much. We will be back tomorrow. I'll give you guys my round by round 2022 Cup Series playoff predictions. That's gonna be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for watching, you guys. I will see you in the next upload.